Hello everybody, Buddy with Midland, Texas. Going to do a little video for you tonight. I think you'll find it real interesting. What we're looking at here right now is the schedule for the 2010 oil show. Okay, it's an international convention here in it's in Odessa, Midland, Odessa, and people from all over the world. Of course, very wealthy people fly in, and with all conventions, you have big parties, after-hour parties, and with the parties, then you have the prostitution, drugs, and all the other stuff goes along with it. Okay, this is the week that my friend Angie told me about a young girl that was murdered at a party she was at because the girl didn't want to prostitute. Angie was leaving my house at the party in 5 minutes. I believe those parties were in the underground homes. Multiple people were near my home. Looks like one's in my backyard based on Google Maps. Okay. And so here I want to call your attention to some of these dates. It started on Monday, October 25th, 2010. And as I said, Angie was leaving here and at the party in 5 minutes. I believe that she was driving to the Home Depot and she was parking in the parking lot, going in that building, going underground behind Home Depot directly towards my house. You can see where it looks like a tunnel ditch was cut, and I believe there's a tunnel coming there. All the people at the oil show party was going from there, and in my backyard was one of the 4 underground homes. Okay, that's what I believe. Thursday, it was the last day on October 28th, 2010. I want you to remember that date. That date is important to this video. But I want to also call your attention that in 2013, the remains of a young girl were found outside of Midland. And this is the girl that I suspect was that Angie told me about that was murdered. And, it's the Midland County Sheriff's Office. That's why I've been contacting Lieutenant Gray at the Midland County Sheriff's Office. And unidentified human remains found outside of Midland, 10 miles south I-20 near FM 1213, determined to be a female, 14 to 21 years old. We now know she's a black girl. They did DNA testing, 59 to 67 inches tall. Homicide is suspected. They murdered a little girl, and I believe that's the girl that was murdered at the oil show party, just based on the timing. Because it was kind of recent. Okay. Wasn't long after Angie told me about the girl being murdered, and she was dead serious. I know she was telling the truth. I tried to get her to report that murder, and she's afraid and said high-level police were there. Okay. So anyways, here, moving on in time, this guy here, Michal Williams, this is his Facebook, okay, in his picture, he sends me a Facebook friend request, and we have 6 mutual friends. I'm going to show you them friends in a minute. So I accept it, and he was sharing, like here, you can see, he was sharing my Facebook post. So I didn't know who he was, but we had mutual friends, and he's sharing my story. I'll show you these friends. Okay. So here, what I'm showing here is the friends here. Jenna Marie, Rebecca Hurd Frills. I talked to her on Facebook. Stephen, Becca Dillon, Kelly Bennett. I seen his name in the news. I think he got arrested for bombs or something. Stephanie Diane Bachman, Todd Bozier. I don't know these people. Like I said, I talked to Rebecca, and I asked her about she ever been to the oil show party. She said no, and then I mentioned something about, well, I seen where you owned an oil field company, and then she blocked me. I thought that was weird, and so it made me wonder, maybe she has been at these parties. I don't know that. Maybe all of them have, but maybe these people know who the real Michal Williams is, because that guy is dead. And that's the point of this video. Somebody took his picture, his name, created a Facebook, and sent me a friend request. And not only is he dead, he died the last day of the 2010 oil show. Ain't that interesting? Because somebody says, here, go check this. So I did. Michal Williams, a compressor mechanic, died at the same time 2010 oil show party, and some stalker stole his ID. Okay, 39 years old, died on October 28th. Remember, I told you, remember that date. Okay, and so here he was married to Tymber. Okay, and we're going to talk about Tymber in a minute, because I contacted her, and you can see the family here over in McCamey, etc. Okay. Here's another obituary here of Michal, and basically there it is. Said it died at his residence. That's a clue, whatever. You can read that here if you want to pause that later and read that, who all the family is and all that. Okay, And I don't know how much the family knows all about that, but they ought to know. And so anyway, I contacted Tymber after the fact, because she's the widow. Okay, and you know, and I'm like, and I was nice, you know, hi Tymber, I was wondering if you were married to Michal Williams from Odessa, who died on this date. The obituary says he's married to Tymber just 3 months before he died. Somebody took his ID and picture to create a fake ID. She's like, yes, I was. What? I said, you'll see on my timeline where I just posted screenshots, and I believe he's connected with a stalker and some very serious crimes that were committed against me. Do you know who I am? No, I don't. I'm fixing to look at your Facebook though. Okay, and so you know, I'm like, I have an incredible story. Okay, moving on in a conversation. She says, I'm not understanding what my husband has to do with this. I said, take some time, check out the videos. If you think of something you might find helpful, I have a YouTube channel. It said the stalker used his name and picture to create a fake ID. I don't know why either, but obviously there's some reason. How did Michal die? He was young, right? You see here where he was sharing my Facebook post before it was found out that he was using a fake name. That's what I told Tymber. Okay. Okay. She said he was 39. The cops were serving him a blue warrant to revoke his parole because he was reported for a parole violation, and they were trying to serve him, and he shot himself in the head. Okay, that's what Tymber told me. I said we had 6 mutual friends, and I suspect that one of them know who the stalker is that used Michal Williams' name picture. Have you asked him? And I said, and then I asked her a question. Did he work for CSI? Because compressor systems. Because I saw he's a compressor mechanic. She said no, he worked for DNR. I said, she says, Don something's his name. And I said, no, I said, these are not real friends, as I don't know them personally. They're just a part of the 5,000 Facebook friends of whatever, you know, and that's what I was explaining to her. I looked up DNR, and I asked her, I said, do they have a booth at the oil show? Yes, they do have a booth at the oil show. You know, I was interested. And then I asked him, was he there during the evenings of the week, the oil show from the 25th to 28th when he died, you know? Because I was trying to get, you know, his alibi, confirm his whereabouts. Was he there when the girl died at the oil show parties, etc.? You know, she should know because she was married to him. And that's when she says, no, we were fighting and he was staying at a trailer about a mile away. So she couldn't verify where he was at, you know, during the evenings of the oil show. That's when the oil show parties are happening, during the evenings, you know. And then I'm like, this stalker created another ID with the name Ken Williams. Does this picture name mean anything to you? And then the stalker posted my address on the internet using a name named Brad Williams. Do you know anybody by that name? And there was, you know, more there I'm not even going to go about, but I think that was the same guy that was creating all them fake IDs, you know, all Williams, you know. And then all of a sudden, here I get this weird message, okay? This is Tymber's mother. I've read all the messages, watched your videos, and if you contact my daughter again, I'll contact the authorities and report you. I have screenshots of all this. Do not contact my daughter again. You know, and it was a friendly conversation. She was answering questions I was asking, you know. And I said, well, what's your name, Tymber's mother? Your rude response is puzzling since I was kind and respectful to your daughter. Do you have information on the rape and murder of the young girl at the 2010 oil show party or the capital attempted murder of my life? There has to be a logical explanation for your such hatefulness. What exactly do you think you're going to report me for? Asking questions while her late husband's name and picture was on a Facebook ID and contacting me, the victim of a capital crime? She says, leave her alone. She has nothing to do with any of the things you're talking about. I said, you seem confused, as my conversation with your daughter was cordial. I explained to her that somebody took her husband's information and contacted me, and I noticed that he died on the last day of the oil show. A few days before this, my friend told me about a young girl being murdered at an oil show party. Your sudden rudeness seems to indicate that you know something about that capital murder. Your daughter wasn't rude at all, nor was I. Furthermore, I don't take threats well after surviving a capital murder attempt. I also document and then I post in public so everybody can read it. Okay. Moving on. Here's Tymber, okay? Tymber's like, Buddy Wayne, no, it's Tymber, and do I not have a right to privacy? Don't you think it's hard enough to go through something like burying your husband, then 9 years later you get a message from some random person implying a bunch of nonsense? My mother lives in Arizona. She's simply sticking up for me, etc., etc., etc. And I respect what you're doing. I ask you to respect me, keep you out. I just wanted to show you that. I said, this isn't about you. I'm trying to figure out why a stalker took your husband's information, contacted me. This is about your sudden and mysterious rudeness. I screenshot everything, so don't think that you're the first person to threaten me in attempts to stop me from asking questions. This is trying to figure out who murdered that young girl into conversation. And I put a link, I showed you that a while ago, that news article about the investigation in the murder of the young girl. Okay. And then a friend starts sending me these screenshots of this Facebook group that she's in, that she was invited to. It was called the Buddy Wayne Webb Victims Facebook group. It's a hate and slander group, had over 100 members. I'm going to show you who the members of that group. And interesting, the ex-wife had told me, just a few weeks after I shot, she come over to the house and she said, "You don't know how many lives you ruin with your idiocy." I'm like, what? I was staying on my business, my own business. Somebody broke in my home and shot me, I didn't ruin anybody's life, by staying home. And, I think the idiocy part was I had trapped a burglar. I'd recognized I was under a burglary. I'd been reporting burglaries for over a year, and I trapped a burglar and didn't know it. That was the idiocy. But when she said, "You don't know how many lives you ruined," that told me a lot of people were here, and they're going to have their lives ruined, during the course of the investigation and the murder attempt, etc. Well, where were they? In the underground home in the backyard. Well, I got a feeling a lot of them people are in this hate group, okay? This Buddy Wayne Webb Victims Hate Group. I'm going to show you that here in a minute. So Tymber posts in this group and says, "Okay, so who's this douche and how do you make him stop? I'm tired of his accusations," okay? And here's a Lindsay, I don't know who it is. "Give his info to the Clintons as to kill me," right? David calling you to try to correct him, laughing out loud. Lance Eggleston says, "Laughing my ass, LMFA," and then and I have the right here a note. I said, "He told me," Lance did, he said that "we have access to your residence at all times. Nobody will ever believe your story. You'll be silenced. Not if, but when." And I asked Lance, I said, "When are you going to murder me, Lance?" Lance was in this group, okay? And there's Tymber smearing my name in this group. He's a freaking lunatic, okay? Tymber Williamson. This is the wife of the Michal Williams, the dead guy, okay? This is the screenshot with Lance, okay? And he was in that group. Remember, we know who you are. We know where you sleep. We have access to your residence at all times. No one will ever believe your story. We will come again. We're watching you, Mr. Webb. Be careful what you post, And I'm like, I don't understand who you are. You're a good guy back there? You're a cop, a gangster? And he says, "You will be silenced. Not if, but when," And that's when I said, "When are you going to murder me, Lance?" And I took a screenshot of this, and I emailed it to Chief of Police Price Robinson, okay, and he did nothing, and that's what's been going on. Okay, here's where it gets real interesting. This is a friend that I kept anonymous. See, I blocked the name off there, but she tells me Michal didn't kill himself. I'm like, whoa, right? I said, "Don't tell anybody. I paid a PI, worked on this case so I can force law enforcement to enforce the law again. I've been trying to drop hints to the people that were here when I was shot to report so they don't get charged." I was told that a lot of people were too. And I didn't get the results I wanted out of that private investigator. It's a whole nother story. Okay. They thought for the longest time that his wife staged it. Whoa, did you read that? That's what she told me. The rude one, Tymber. I wondered if Michal was killed, and it seemed clear that it was connected to the oil show. If the stalker that created that fake ID also created several other fake IDs, and each of them were named Williams. Law enforcement could easily find out who that was, but I can't, So, if law enforcement is watching that, Lieutenant Gray, hint, 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 you trying to solve the murder of the girl? Hint, hint. Okay, and it says, "I don't know, but Mike was going to leave his wife because he found out a bunch of stuff about her, and it freaked him out." That's what I got from my friend. Okay. And then on even more here, she says, "This is Tymber." My friend said, "This is Tymber with C-Dub. C-Dub was a part of the Haley Dunn case. Buddy, please don't share my name on this." I said, "Who's C-Dub?" She says, "Choice Tolliver." I said, "I kept your name out of one of the posts earlier. What was he there when Haley died? This is the 13-year-old famous missing murdered child from Colorado City, right?" And my friend says, "He was at the house a lot when she was first taken." And I said, "So he knew she was there? Anything to do with Haley because my name out?" Yes, he knew. Okay, but C-Dub was, she was telling me, was one of friends with Tymber. Ain't it a small world? Let's look at the group. Like I said, I went and screenshotted the members of that Facebook group, okay? And I got 9 pages of them. There's 100 of them in the Buddy Wayne Webb Victims, which is a hate group. It's dated 11/17/18, okay? The 2 people that created this Facebook hate slander group, Buddy Wayne Webb Victims, was Kristen Nicole Bushman and Taryn Thomas. We're going to talk about them too in a minute. And then here's just some of the people there. You can, if you want to screenshot, look at them. I don't know most of them, but for whatever reason, they hate me. I wonder if there wasn't people that were here at the old underground parties. That's my guess, and that's why. But there's old Lance Eggleston. We know who that is. And there's Taryn Thomas. Okay, we know who that is. Like I said, we're going to talk about them in a minute. Okay, here's some more here. Like I said, you can screenshot and go back and look at these. I don't know these people. There's just so many of them. I blocked every single one of them. I went through and every single one of them I blocked, which was over 100. Okay, this guy wrote all kinds of bad stuff. David Mendoza. I don't know who he is either. But I got a feeling, if they got such hatred towards me, then they have some connection to the crimes against me. That kind of makes sense. This is a fake ID created by Taryn Thomas with my name. Okay, added by Taryn Thomas, Buddy Webb. I think I got a picture of that here in a minute. Okay. Here's another page. Like I said, y'all might know these people. I don't. I'm not from Midland, right? Okay. More of them. Yeah, none of them ringing a bell. And, it's just bizarre. It's like, here's the Kristen Nicole Bushman. And so I do have conversations with her. And interesting thing I'm going to show you in a minute. There's Bushman. Taryn Thomas, like I said, she's another person that documented on the Haley Dunn murder. I'm going to show you stuff about her. So that's the Haybook Face Group, okay? Here's a screenshot, Kristen Nicole Bushman right here, okay? And I think this was a screenshot from that group. A friend screenshot it for me, and Taryn created this fake ID with my name on it, right? And Kristen Nicole Bushman says, "That's me," laughing out loud, thank God. And then Kristen says, "I've infiltrated his inner circle." Await his response. Okay. Let's go to the next one here. Okay, here's Kristen in the public to me, slandering, smearing my name. You're effing crazy. John doesn't have anything to do with this shit. I'm a member of the secret police, and we are watching you. Beware, buddy. Okay, John Bushman's one of the wealthiest people in Odessa. The head of the ICA group, owns CBS 7, owns the MCN Elegante, owns A1 Mobile Homes, etc. And she was married into that group, and I said, Kristen Nicole Bushman, then you were caught on camera, because she says I'm a member of the secret police. I said, then you were caught on camera in a capital attempted murder and stayed hidden like a coward for 6 years. Why don't you do the right thing, turn yourself in? Give back the stolen evidence. Tell the truth. The public wants to know how many murders your gang has been involved in before you accidentally got caught sneaking into my home. If you're lying, then you're harassing the victim of a capital attempted murder, and I'm taking screenshots. I'm taking Beware Buddy as a death threat. Don't threaten my life or contact me again. Okay, and she says, we are under the tunnels late at night, waiting, watching. Okay, and I said, that's the second death threat. Okay, now here, let me show you. Okay, Bushman. This was the question where the question is, this Bushman, Christian John Bushman, them, are they related to Brett Bushman? Okay, and Brett Bushman, there was a drug rehab counselor named Christy Ott Smith. She first contacted me here on YouTube. She watched the video and she said, I received the Haley Dunn confession in June 2015. Since reporting, my life's gone upside down, etc., etc. Then she contacted me here under a fake name, Allison Mack. That's still Christy Ott's though, and said and tells me more. She said, The guy, Brett Bushman, said she was traded by her mother for a drug balance of $135 worth of meth. While she's in the care of the dealer, she flipped out. They shot her up with something. She overdosed and died. The guy who confessed to me, Brett Bushman, said he took her back to the mother and they stuffed her in a box. He described the way they had to bend her and break her to fit. Then they buried her on a ranch outside Odessa. You can see the date on that when I got that, okay? And I'm forwarding an email to you now. Haley's name is not said in the emails, but she's the child I'm referring to. BB is Brett Bushman. That's the question. Is Brett Bushman related to John Bushman, Christian Bushman, etc.? And then she takes this screenshot here, Christy does, and this is to her supervisors at Turning Point over in Odessa, and it's a resignation letter, you know, and just some of the things I highlighted in it. She wanted me to see it, you know. She's telling her bosses, I've never stated that I was afraid of BB, Brett Bushman, since he did have a hand stuffing a child in the child's body inside of a safe, right? And his confession of the involvement in 3 separate homicides, considering his organizational affiliation, i.e. he's a gang member, right? You know, and I know multiple people have said that, you know, it was Aryan Brotherhood gang members that kidnapped him. Well, here comes Hunter Bushman. He's a friend of mine on Facebook, and he's the grandson of John Bushman, okay? And so he says, hey, buddy, whatever you do, man, do not listen to Kristen Nicole Bushman. She's my sister-in-law, and she is crazy, and I believe she knows something about the tunnels. She attempts to negate your claims, but I think she's a part of it. Just trying to give you a heads up because I believe you. I think Hunter's a good dude. What do y'all think, man? I mean, that's pretty cool. That's John Bushman's grandson there. Now let's talk about Taryn Thomas. I did a video called Haley Dunn Murder Confession. Remember, these are the one that started the hate group, the hate slander group, Taryn Thomas, Kristen Bushman, okay? So I had this video out there, Haley Dunn Murder Confession. That was one of my first Haley Dunn videos, you know, and it's real interesting. Y'all go watch it. Taryn Thomas, you know, writes on my Facebook wall in the public. I think it's to say that we all know that her mom, stepdad, as well as Haley were on dope. People in Odessa have been saying the same for years, you know. Julia Brindle says, I heard a similar but slightly different version from a friend who talked to the man that said he did it, okay? Julia Brindle says, mom did sell her. And then I pop in, I say, a family member of Haley Dunn contacted said, I thought her mom had sold Haley. My guess is that Billy was a secret hooker working for a powerful human trafficking operating ring in Texas who encourages these women to get their children to prostitute. Taryn Thomas, she says, they had Haley for a good while. Haley knew who had her, and it wasn't a hostage situation. People said that they had heard people had gone to the house in Odessa while she was there, and she walked around like it was her house. But what was weird, I heard from more than 10 people that they shaved her head like 2 weeks before she supposedly overdosed. Why shave her head if you aren't trying to hide her? Now, supposedly she was buried in that same house's backyard. Okay, Taryn was one of 10 people that I documented as saying that Haley was killed in Odessa. Okay, but then she comes back and she threatens me. Taryn does. Listen, you need to stop posting my name all the damn time. Every time you do, I get dozens of my friends send me screenshots. First, I don't care because this shit was bogus. You were a joke. People add you, fuck with you because you're literally eptimone and gullible and you believe them. I've literally left over 20 comments of bogus stories I pull out of my ass, and you believe 90%. So Taryn, she was now changing her whole story. But like I said, Taryn was only one of 10 people that are documented saying Haley was killed in Odessa, you know, and so I want to mention, finishing this off, that I think there is a connection to Haley Dunn and the underground homes. I found that the mother of Haley Dunn, remember, and y'all read some about the mother there, or you know what that was said, was a stripper. You never read that in the news. Our news hid that from the public, that the mom was a stripper, okay, around the time Haley went missing. That seems like a big factor that she's hanging down there stripping on the strip pole right there. And Janice Freeman Driver tells me, buddy, I heard that about Billy from a very reliable source, and that Haley was going with her as well, but staying in the dressing room while BD, Billy Dunn, worked the pole, the mother, okay? And so she was taking Haley at 13 years old to the strip clubs with her. And you know, I'm sitting there, I'm putting this all together. I'm going, all the strippers would be at the oil show parties. I mean, of course they were. That's their big money maker. I mean, they were told to be working there. And if she was taking Haley to the strip clubs, she took her to the oil show parties. That would put Billy and Haley in my backyard at the underground homes. And you know, in October 2010, 2 months before she went missing. But she wasn't a famous missing murdered child then, right? She wasn't even missing. But you can bet these wealthy people and the police that they're there, they don't want anybody to find out this missing murdered child was at a sex party with them 2 months before she went missing, you know. And here's a second person, the Hope for Haley Dunn admin, a friend of Billy Dunn, telling me once again she's a nurse, she was doing secretary work and stripping. Two different people told me she's a stripper, you know, and law enforcement should be asking her, well, you're a stripper, wasn't you at the oil show parties, at the underground oil show parties, you know, that multiple people have said were here. And how's the connection to my house here? Okay, on this date, 3/14/13, I wrote the Department of Justice, okay, the DOJ, and I suggested they come here and they look in these underground homes. I said, I have overwhelming evidence to support the allegation of an underground facility, okay? I said, maybe she's being held by slavers below my home right now. Haley Dunn, okay? 2 days later, they find the remains of Haley Dunn in Scurry County. Now, I got 10 people documented saying that she was killed in Odessa. That's Ector County. Lots of people believe that she was moved because of this email. You know, I mean, you know, the timing is amazing. I just thought y'all would find that interesting, how it all fits together. And if we get law enforcement to do some law enforcement work, find out who this guy is. I mean, it's in these videos where that URL, they could trace this person out, you know. Obviously, that person knows something. And so anyway, this is Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.